Afternoon, Elk Hunt 58. That's not my real name, but that's what I go by, so the paparazzi will leave me alone. I'm a 58-year-old Oregonian that loves to hunt. I particularly hunt elk and mule deer. And this year I was fortunate enough to draw a tag in eastern Oregon in the Wallowa Mountains, and I killed this big, beautiful bull. I'm going to do a knife review today on a knife that I've yet to use. That drives me nuts. But I wanted to prove to you that I actually do use knives. So I'm going to start with this one. This is the Benchmade Griptilian 550HG, and this is the knife I used along with a buddy to field dress the elk I just showed you. This is 154 cm steel. It's good steel. I like it. This knife is made by Benchmade here in Oregon, which I appreciate. It's got these plastic scales, which I don't like particularly, and it's got the access lock, which everybody seems to love. The knife worked beautifully, and the reason why is it's got a nice belly on the edge of this thing. It's got a good point. It's good steel. Everything worked fine. The only complaints I have about this knife are the scales. For one, they just feel cheap, and it's not a cheap knife. Secondly, the handle's a little short. It doesn't let you choke up, which I like to do, because if you choke up, you run into the bottom edge of the blade and you're going to cut yourself. So you have to stay back on the handle, which I'm not a big fan of. Secondly, the axis lock. It's a great lock, but it gets gummed up with meat and blood and hair and fat, and then it doesn't deploy and lock into place like it should. So you always have to make sure that lock is clean or you've got problems. Now, great knife. I'd use it again. I'm a proud Benchmade owner. I'm not trying to sell it short. But I did want G10 handles. So I started looking around who makes a good knife with a good blade profile with good steel and G10 handles. Spyderco used to make one. It was designed by Tim Wegner. It's called the Pro Hunter. They don't make it anymore, and if you find it on eBay, it's expensive. But I started looking on eBay, and I found one made by a company called Blade Tech. Blade Tech is a company started by Tim Wegner, and he used to make a Pro Hunter, and it appears he makes a Pro Hunter Lite now. So eBay was real clear. The seller was clear. This blade is made in Taiwan. This knife is made in Taiwan. And I know Blade Tech to be a Washington company just north of us here in Oregon. And so I called them to make sure it was indeed a Blade Tech and not a knockoff. And I got a nice young lady on the phone, and she said, yeah, I believe it is, but let me check with someone that would know better. And she came back and she said, yep, that's our knife, and we do make them in Taiwan. I said, well, do you sell them to the public? She said, yeah, we do. So on eBay, this is $105 plus some shipping, and I thought, well, that's a really good deal for this knife. And I was expecting $175 or so from the company, and I said, well, how much is it? And she said $59. And I said, okay, let me make sure. You're telling me it's s30v steel, correct? She goes, yeah, it is. I said, okay, well, I'll take one. And I ordered it. She shipped it. I got it 2 days later, which is today. $64 total, all in on the knife. And here we are. It's a rainy day in Oregon. I'm bored. I'm doing a knife review, and you must be bored too because you're watching it. So let me tell you about it. S30V steel, as I said, G10 scales, liners with a liner lock. I don't know how you feel about that, but that thing locks it up solid. It's not going anywhere. Thick profile on the blade with jimping in 3 places, here at the thumb, in the midpoint, and down on the tip. I really like that. There's jimping in the choil, both on the blade and on the liners. All the jimping is sharp and crisp. I like that because, as I said earlier, I like to choke up on a knife, and I like to run my finger up to the point so that when I'm zipping open an animal, it's not getting hung up in the gut. Also, you can use it nicely, cutting the diaphragm from the rib cage, and it does everything a knife needs to do, and it seems to do it well. Now, profile on the blade, I love that. Lots of belly, so it's going to be easy to skin an elk, probably more than one elk if I were ever in that situation with other hunters in my party. Nothing not to like about this knife. There's a stainless steel clip that can be attached at 4 different places, so you can carry it tip up, tip down, ambidextrous, however you like. I, on the other hand, don't like clips. I carry it in my right pocket. It's going to be scratching my Kimber, Montana. It's going to be clanking around. I'm not a fan of the clip hanging outside my pocket. So I just take the clip off, carry it in my pocket like a pocket knife was intended to be carried. Nothing not to like about that knife. Now, since I'm now a professional knife reviewer, let me do what everybody does and compare it to some other knives. This one you're familiar with. This is the Benchmade Paramilitary 2. I've owned this knife a couple of years. I like it. Same steel, same handle material, liners, liner lock on the top side, not the bottom. Beautiful knife. Nothing to complain about. Not a fan of the profile of this blade when it comes to field dressing, but it's a wonderful knife. How are they similar? Well, everything. Blade, handles, liners, locks, everything. How are they dissimilar? Price. $59. You can't beat that. $125 online, both plus shipping. In my opinion, there's no comparison. I'm going to buy the $59 knife all day long. It's got a better blade for what I'm intending to use it for, and it's it's just made to do the job at half the price. I don't understand that. One more here. This next one you probably recognize. This is a Puma Hunter's Pal. It's a vintage model. It's been ridden hard, as you can see by the edge of the blade. The comparison, you're saying, well, what's the comparison? Frankly, the comparison is sort of the profile of the blades. They both have nice belly, and they both work well. These old Pumas are fantastic knives. This thing is absolutely razor sharp. Sharpest knife I own. Takes an edge nicely, holds an edge decently, but you can always put an edge on it in the field quite easily. It's as it should be. It's got patina and dirt, and it just is a beautiful knife. I love old Pumas. Not a fan of new ones, but old ones are fantastic. Lastly, I'll show you this knife. This is a Wayne Goddard Spyderco Sprint Run, I believe. It's got the gray FRN. It's a big knife. This is actually longer than the Blade Tech that I'm reviewing today. It's got VG10 steel. It's got the spine lock back here. It's a fantastic knife with good ergonomics. Now here's what I love about this knife. This is light. This is 2.9 ounces. This one's about 4.9 ounces. So if I were still a young man doing a lot of backpack hunting, concerned about weight, this would be the knife I'd carry. You could carry it all day long and not even know you had it. The thing is just feather light, and it's a fantastic knife, built well. It'd take care of your elk wherever you are, anytime. But here's why I don't carry this knife. This was given to me by Wayne and Phyllis Goddard. Wonderful people. And they, at their 50th anniversary, asked me if I would renew their vows. I was their pastor. Phyllis is now with the Lord. And I was honored to do their vows, and they gave me this knife as a thank you gift. And honestly, I just can't bring myself to get it all blood and gutty. But I'm guessing if Wayne knew that, he'd be disappointed, because he makes knives for working men and women, and he would want this knife to see some action. So I should probably honor him and use the knife. But for now, I'll begin to use this one. So let me sum this up. It's made in Taiwan. You may not like that. I'm fine with it. It's an American company. It is quality. That is a solid knife, no matter how you look at it. I don't think I've deployed it for you yet, but it locks up like a bank vault. That blade is not going anywhere. There is no play in the blade in any direction. Its ergonomics are fantastic. Its components, fantastic steel, good scales, good grip. Everything about this knife is a winner. I can't believe that you can find a better value in the knife market today. Where in the world are you going to find this knife built for $60? I would suggest that you place a phone call to Blade Tech, get that nice young lady on the phone, tell her you want the Pro Hunter Lite, and get them to ship it to you before they decide to quit making these things. I don't know why they don't advertise better. They're hard to find. I don't know why they're not on their website. So I am doing them a big favor. I'm giving them this massive audience of all three of you that watch this to go buy their knife, and I highly recommend it. I don't know if I'll ever do another knife review. This was fun. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you have a great day. Elk Hunt 58.